Hey, Hall Financial family, it's Kyle Bogey here in Plymouth. We are inside RichRealty, part of the Talbot team, and we're going to sit down with Matt Talbot, talk all things realty, what the market's looking like in 2020, hot neighborhoods in the Metro Detroit area. Lots to tune in for.
I don't care if you're moving today, I don't care if you're moving in 20 years, we want to provide value.
Hey guys, it's Kyle Bogey with Hall Financial here in Plymouth at the Talbot team with RichRealty. And of course, I'm joined by Matt Talbot. We're going to talk a little bit of realty, what the market's looking like in 2020, a lot to dive into as the market continues to look hotter and hotter this year. Matt, we can start with you and I guess find out a little bit more about yourself and your journey. How long have you been, in realty? What made you want to become a realtor?
Yeah, I've been in the real estate business for a few years now. I have a marketing degree, a marketing background. Initially, when I looked at the industry, I had friends that already did it, so I had a very good feeling of what the job was like. But I saw a very, very dated business, right? So the real estate industry as a whole is very, very dated. Some of the winning players are getting better at catching up in the 2020 world. But in my opinion, 99% of the players in the business it's dated. It's like they're marketing in 1985 world, 1995 world. It's just outdated. So that's why I decided to get in the business. I did it kind of as a side thing when I was at a different job. Instantly fell in love with it within months, like quit my job, took a huge leap of faith, and it's been all success since there. Obviously there's lots of failures along the way, but for me, from a personal standpoint, maybe not a monetary standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, it's just felt great. So when I say all success, it's like, this is what I was meant to do. This is what I'm in love with. And I pour, all my time and energy into it. So.
Okay. So you mentioned dated, but by dated, what do you mean by that? And I guess, is social media a big component of what you're talking about when you say that?
Yes, I call it old guys in suits. No offense. No, I'm kidding. You're not,
I'm not that old.
You're not an
Come
old
on.
guy. But really, realistically, I think people use a lot of ego-based marketing. They use a big picture of your face on a billboard, or they use a print mailer for Matt Talbot Realtor, or ABC Brokerage, or what have you, right? And I think they're not creating the value that they could for the client. You see so many photos not taken professionally, and that's like the number one tell. Like you'll see an $800,000 listing, and there's shitty photos, and I'm like, what are people doing here? Like I don't understand where the marketing comes in place. So I like to consider myself a marketer, real estate agent, not just a realtor, right? I think a good agent is good at marketing, and that's in a 2020 world, not in a 1993 world.
How often is that pointed out from a client? Because I know what you mean. I haven't bought a house in 2.5 years, but when I was looking, the professional photos, the lighting, making a kitchen look 1,000 times better maybe than it actually is. It allows potential clients and home buyers to see the vision of what the house could be. That's got to be a huge thing.
Yeah. Like the photography to me is one of the biggest pieces, if not the biggest piece, when it comes to like the pie of marketing around a single listing, right? When you're flipping through in today's world, it's a matter of a half a second when you're making a decision. It's like you're on Zillow or realtor.com or Facebook, whatever. You're like, nope. Ooh, I like that one. Nope. So that split second decision is really what makes a difference. And the photography obviously tells a story there. And more often than not, videos are cool. We do a lot of video work as well too. I think you can kind of show different aspects of the home that a photography might not give you, but the photography is one of the biggest pieces, right? If you're thinking about buying a house, what are you going to do? You're going to stalk those photos 100 times before you're going to go waste your time driving out there and looking at the property.
Okay, so how do you go from looking at photos, seeing what the house actually currently looks like, to a person deciding this is the house that I want? You don't want people making a split-second decision and falling in love. When I bought my house, it was the first one I visited.
Yeah,
I might have visited 4 or 5 more, but I kept thinking about it. And so I went back and I checked. I'm like, you know what? Let's go with this. I'm assuming that's usually not how it is for most buyers.
No, it's a balancing act in today's market, right? So to me, I don't care if it's the first house or the 100th house. I don't care if you move today or you move in 10 years. I want to be a value add for the community. So in all the communities that we work in throughout Southeast Michigan, if you think real estate, I want you to reach out to myself or someone on my team, and we will get you an answer to your question. I don't care if you're moving today, I don't care if you're moving in 20 years, we want to provide value, right? And so with the showings, whether it's the first property or the 100th property, I want to make sure you're comfortable. The reason why I call it a balancing act is in today's marketplace, the market moves fast, right? So you have some of these homes are only on the market for a day, maybe 2 days, sometimes a week. And so sometimes when a client likes the house, it's a balancing act between like, hey, listen, I don't care if you move on this one or not. You seem to really like it. It's not going to be around. Or we call it, they already have 3 offers. We got to do something today. So I think a good agent knows how to communicate that properly and doesn't come off as pushy. And if they miss out on the property, they miss out on the property. I'd rather do that than be a pushy agent, right? I'd rather have, there'll be another home. There'll be another property for you. I tell clients right up front, especially first-time buyers, if they're not super strong buyers, I'm like, hey, don't always expect to get the first one we're an offer on, but you'll get the one that's meant for you, right?
Yeah, so I feel like my story, again, is very unique. I also bought later in the fall as opposed to the busy season. How important is that? If you want to go, you don't want to deal with competition. You don't want to deal with, there's 3 or 4 buyers at the house and you're like, oh man, I should put an offer in now. Somebody else might get it from me.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to deal with that as much in the winter. Is that a big thing?
Yes, it's a double-edged sword, right? So you have more inventory in the summer months, right? But you have more buyers, so it's more competitive. Less inventory, less buyers, but even with less buyers for the right house, with the right updates in the right city, you're gonna be in a competitive situation. So, it really is depending on situation, but there is some of that. Some people say you get a better deal in the winter. I don't know. If it's a nice house, usually it goes pretty quick. It sounds like you got a little bit lucky on your home, and your agent you didn't put them through the ringer or anything, which is cool. But sometimes it's just meant to be. Like, I'm a believer in, like, that's one of the reasons why I like real estate. It's funny. It's like, just the right one, you'll get the one that's meant for you. And the right agent's gonna make sure you know everything that's wrong with the house, everything that's right with the house, right? They're not gonna just sell you on all the good things. They're gonna tell you, hey, the roof is dated, you got a budget for a furnace, whatever it is, right? So you're comfortable with the home that you buy, and you're gonna end up with the right one. I apologize.
You're good.
Jeez, it doesn't. I'm like ringing for my watch.
Along those, I could never do an Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's a new thing this year. I'm the typical millennial. It's like it doesn't get any more millennial.
Is it like a thing where you're talking to it and all that?
Yeah, I'm basically.
Okay, that would be appealing to me. That'd be kind of
see,
cool.
2020 world. That's how we live.
You're always connected. I love it. As far as the homes are concerned, you talked about preparing for things, looking at what could potentially be older, what needs to be updated. What was your education, I guess, throughout the years? I'm assuming you've learned a ton about what to look for, what to avoid. How much do you educate people who are looking at a home about that?
Sure. I had a great example of this yesterday. A client called. He's a first-time buyer, and his mom's super well-versed in real estate. She actually lives out of the state, and so he wanted to set up a quick call. We ended up talking for like an hour, and she's like, wow, I'm super impressed, because she asked me some very detailed questions that only experienced buyers would know, right? She's asking, and it's an old, over 100-year-old house in Detroit, like New Center area. It's a great area, really cool old house, but there's a lot of quirky things. You have to look at foundation, you have to look at the way the home is built, you have plaster walls, you have drywall, you have multiple furnaces because they didn't have heat back in the day, right? There's a lot of different questions, and so you become a wealth of knowledge. But that being said, I don't think someone that's been doing this business forever is always the solution there. I think someone that's willing to get the answer is the solution, right? So a lot of people were like, oh, you don't know how to answer that question unless you've been selling real estate for 30 years. That's false. The person that's going to really get to the bottom of it and do research and ask their broker, ask their inspectors, ask their resources is who's going to get you the best answers. So you learn a ton along the way, right? But I think it's the most important piece is the process and the mindset of being able to go out of your way to get the correct answer rather than just making something up.
Those freaking plaster walls, man. I have an old house, 1942. Try mounting a TV into a plaster wall. It's absolutely horrific. You mentioned Detroit.
Yes.
And what are you seeing, I guess, with that area? It's very different. The downtown area is going to be different than residential and the other neighborhoods. But are you seeing a change in what's going on down there?
Yeah. I'm crazy passionate about Detroit. My office is in Plymouth. I grew up in the Plymouth area. I know that marketplace very well. I do a lot of Royal Oak, Ferndale area as well too. My team covers all of Southeast Michigan, so I'm hopping all over the place. But I live downtown. I spend a lot of time there. I do a lot of work there. So I've always been passionate about our city. I've been passionate about our sports, right?
Not right now.
But that's a whole nother topic.
They'll beat the crap out of you. Don't worry about it right now.
But watching the things happening in Detroit is fun. It's really fun. And when you live there and you're a part of it and you see it and you walk down the street, you ride your bike, and like you realize like all the renovation and because of the real estate thing, I'm in all these different neighborhoods, and you see these different, just a lot of investors, a lot of different things happening in the city, and it's fun to see some of these old homes that, no one was living in, all of a sudden they're beautiful homes, right? So it's fun to see. I think that there's a terrific future in Detroit. I think from a real estate perspective, there's going to be countless millionaires made from the investors, lots of investment potentials. Obviously, there's a dynamic there of taking care of the residents who've been there for a long time, and navigating through that is a tough challenge. But I think that a lot of the investors, I think a lot of the mayor's office, a lot of the people involved are doing the right thing so far. Obviously, there's some wins and some losses, so that's the hardest part.
With rates right now, the rent buy debate, I think, continues to rage on. And I think people get worried about being tied down to a 30-year mortgage. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be 55 years old or 60 years old when this mortgage is ultimately done.
Sure.
That's really not how it is. I rented for a long time, and I always felt like I'm throwing my money away.
Yes.
I got to believe, especially with the rates right now, buying, it's a great option to start building equity.
Yes. Most of the time. So it's all very contingent on that individual, right? If you tell me you're a resident and you have to move in a year and a half, buying a home might be a little bit of a risky decision, right? If you're a doctor and you're a resident at a hospital and you're like, hey, I'm going to go back to California in a year, right? Now, obviously, as you know, depending on down payment, if you're there for a few years, you're getting equity. So I don't like to give blanket answers of saying like, yeah, it's a great time to buy. I think a lot of people say that. Rates are stupid cheap, money's stupid cheap, right? So that's a good thing. But that being said, it is very case by case, and each individual is different. There's a million different people that buy homes. Like we have clients that are here on green cards and a million work visas and a million different things, right? So it's very case by case, but yes, if you plan on staying in Michigan for 5, 10 plus years, you plan on staying in that home for that long, it's a no-brainer. You're going to have an initial down payment with equity. You're going to pay principal along the way. Yeah, it's a layup.
How much better is it for you and ultimately for the client as well to get pre-approved before they start looking at homes and start pricing and all that?
It's a loaded question. If I could say very like 1,000 times until like you literally turn the cameras off, I would do that. Very, yeah, hashtag very. So for multiple reasons, like, obviously as a realtor, you don't want to show properties for someone that doesn't qualify. That doesn't matter. I work with millionaires that don't have a pre-qualification letter. That you need that letter sometimes to even show the property. So that's an important piece. But also if you walk into a property on a Saturday, right? And you're like, I love this house. You don't have that pre-qualification letter. They could have 5 offers already and you don't get your dream house because of a little bit of prep work. It's a 20-minute application. It's super easy. For most well-qualified buyers, if you're pre-qualified and you need another letter down the road, it's easy to get another one. Get the pre-qualification done every time, always.
You seem like a guy who, it's not just a client, realtor relationship. It's truly, you need to get to know what they're looking for, what their family's about. Like I always like to say, I was a young single guy when I was buying my house. I didn't really care about neighborhood, schools, anything like that. Sure. But then as you progress, you take the next steps. You're a family, you want to settle down, you want to have a nice school system, all that. I guess how important is it for you early on? Sit down, have coffee, lunch, get to know these people and find, okay, what exactly are you looking for? And then from there, you can find the right area.
Correct. I mean, that's obviously the answer. And getting people to, I call it, to slow down and speed up, right? A lot of first-time buyers, especially, they're excited, they want to jump in, or even experienced buyers. You're like, hey, I like this house in Birmingham, I want to see it tomorrow. I'm like, cool, like what's your situation? Where do you live? Like where's your what is, like, there's a lot. This is a big thing. This is not just like I see a property, I write an offer on it, right? Maybe investors do that to a certain extent with certain price points and everything.
Must be nice to have that kind of money.
Exactly. But the point is to like take a step back, outline what the process looks like, outline exactly what you're looking for, make sure your significant other's on board, your family's on board, whatever the moving pieces are. And those conversations are a half hour, depending on if it goes super well. Some of my favorite clients, we talk for an hour and a half or something. But you take a minute to really understand the process, understand what you're getting into, then you're set up for success. I consider a realtor a teacher and an educator, and we're supposed to coach you along the way, right? It's up to you to make the decision, what house you want, but it's up to us to provide the data to you and also explain the process and making sure you're set up for success. You're not blindsided. You don't get to an offer and realize like, oh, I need an earnest money deposit, or there's a million different things that can happen. So having that coffee is usually where I go with it. I'll have a drink, a coffee, a lunch, whatever. If you're really serious about buying, or if you're really serious about selling, we're happy to sit down with you and take a few minutes to make sure you're set up for success.
I equate home buying to dating a little bit. Right. Like you're going to look at houses,
yes,
but there's going to be some flaws at the houses. Like ultimately the house you buy, there's going to be some issues.
Yes.
There's going to be some things that aren't going to be perfect. Same thing with dating, a new person or whatever it might be and settling down. There's going to be a couple of things maybe you don't like that could change over the years. I guess how critical is that to educate your clients on, because there's going to be things, it's not everything's going to be perfect unless it's a build or something like that, where you can get everything you want, all the specifications. Don't let something small deter you from getting the home that you really want.
Right. And again, another balancing act as a realtor, as anyone in sales, right? You need to be a little bit of a chameleon. You need to know how your client is, how they're going to react to certain things, right? And so, of course, provide value, making sure that they're well protected, making sure they know about any potential problems with the house, any potential high ticket items and stuff like that. So, but yeah, letting them know where you're at with some of these repairs that are needed, and making sure that they're well versed is the whole thing. So
2019 obviously was huge.
Slapping.
Just amazing. 2020 now we're transitioning. What have you seen so far? What do you expect to see this summer compared to 2019?
Yeah, so people ask me this question a lot, and again, I don't like to give blanket answers. You look at some of the numbers. I do run numbers for all the counties we're in, for different cities we're in, for different marketplaces to kind of understand, right? As like a whole, as a blanket answer, right? You see days on market maybe a little bit longer, but sale price is holding pretty tight, which is good. For me, like our business is going insane. I think we did so we have 6 listings coming up this week. We're super busy. The most price points are still moving very fast. If they have the right updates in the right cities, there's multiple offers. So we're navigating through a lot of that. Again, I don't like to give like this blanket answer of like it's going to be fantastic or it's going to be terrible. But like all I know is for us, things are going well, and we're super excited for 2020. See, I got all sorts of phones around here. We have real phones, cell phones, watches. Any way you need to reach us, feel free. Smoke signal, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We have TikTok now. Whatever you need, we are available for you. The Talbot Team or Matt Talbot Realtor.
We're almost to the rapid fire segment. I love that, by the way. That was beautiful.
That.
You mentioned social media, Facebook, Instagram. We kind of touched on it earlier, but I wanted to kind of circle back to it. How big has that been, in the realtor business? And you have a marketing background.
It is my business.
Yeah.
So like, I think what most of the industry does is like they have their business, which they've had forever, right? Mm-hmm. Or this is the way it's always been done at ABC Brokerage. And then we're doing social media now. Then they're pouring more and more. They're realizing it's more and more important. So they're building up that social platform. My business is completely built off the back of that, right? So Facebook is king in today's marketplace. Instagram's obviously huge. We do some YouTube stuff. Like TikTok, playing around with all the new platforms. It sounds crazy, right? But like, it's important to stay maybe not ahead of the curve. Like I don't need to give you VR glasses today to go look at homes, right? That might be like not in today's reality. But most importantly, where's people's attention and how can we properly advertise and be in those places? And since I've been involved in the business, Facebook has been king. Obviously, Instagram is a freaking juggernaut in the marketing world. So that's where I focus my attention. I've never ran a print mailer to this day. I don't have any billboards. There's stuff like that I think are overpriced. And I rather spend my time marketing my clients' listings in places where people actually see and watch them.
You obviously work in a lot of different areas, different cities, neighborhoods in Metro Detroit. If you had to say, this is the hottest spot, for an investment or it's growing, tons of people are asking about it and buying.
Yes.
What would you say right now?
Detroit. Detroit has so many different. There's I think like 7 districts or something. It's a huge city, right? And I think that there is, if you're talking about from an investment standpoint, whether it's a single family home that you want to live in or you want to buy a block in a vacant neighborhood, right? There's tons of potential. I love the idea of a neighborhood that might not be remotely established or popular in today's world of a big project coming in. This would be kind of a dream situation, but like you have where you put in restaurants and bars and then the residential around it and you create a community in a part of town that maybe doesn't have very much, and then that spreads from there. Obviously, the downtown area is going insane, but there's a lot of neighborhoods, and there's tons of houses. My parents are in the antique business. I kind of grew up around a lot of old stuff, so the old architecture is cool to me. I think the renovation of a lot of the old buildings is awesome. So to me, that's where I'm passionate about. That's where I focus my attention on. But yeah, I mean, you have all your popular marketplaces, right? Ferndale, Royal Oak, we work a ton there. Downtown Plymouth is huge for us. We work in Ann Arbor. That's been a steady market for a really long time, right? It's the most educated city in the country. So Southeast Michigan is a plethora of great opportunity. But to me, the most interesting one to watch is Detroit.
Is there anything, before we do this rapid fire segment, is there anything else that for your business that you want to hit on really?
No, I don't think so. Anyone that is watching this, I appreciate you tuning in. My team is fantastic. We're slowly growing, which is awesome. The people that I surround myself with are fantastic. So if you have any contact with them, I promise you'll get a great response from myself or anyone on my team. If you're looking to join a new innovative team, we're looking for the right agents, not just for volume. Feel free to give me a call or DM or message at any time. I guess that's the
DM, that means direct message for anyone that doesn't know.
Everyone knows that.
I don't know. I like to make sure I point it out.
My dad's in his 70s. He knows that. I feel like everyone knows that. I don't know. I feel like times have changed. Maybe not. We'll see.
I don't think my parents would know what
that
means. All right. Let's do a rapid fire segment here. Question number one. The number one question that you get from someone buying a home.
The number one question. When can I see it?
Okay. Beautiful. A lot of times we get money. How much is it? How much I'm going to make on whatever it might be.
People just want to see the thing.
Okay. Number one question you get from someone selling a home.
How much?
That would be the money question. Okay. Best part about your job.
The people and the experiences that I get to have on a daily basis.
Okay. Worst part about your job. Sitting here with me.
No. The worst part about my job. That's an interesting one. I would say the worst part about my job is coming across someone that I consider shady or don't necessarily want to do business with, although we're good at navigating through that. There's a lot of people in the world. That's very, very rare. I'd like to think 99.9% of people are pretty good, but occasionally you get a bad egg when you talk to a lot of them. And influencing them, though, is the flip to that of hopefully changing that for the better.
You're an optimist. I need to learn from you. Up and coming neighborhood in Metro Detroit. You expanded upon this, but go ahead.
Yeah, up and coming neighborhood. Fitzgerald and Bagley is a really cool area I've been watching in Detroit. I like those areas. There's the city's dumped a ton of money into. There's a lot of investment. It's cool to kind of watch those areas. Really cool old neighborhoods. Great community. Met a lot of people that have been in the community for a long time. Fantastic people.
You can talk a lot like me. I like that. Advice you'd give to someone thinking about becoming a realtor.
Advice that I give to do it your way. I don't think there's a perfect science to this business. I think the people that have the most success do it in a way that's passionate for them. So mine's marketing, right? And there's certain things around there, but there's a million different ways to skin the cat, right? And so I think that building a business on what you're about, if you're into snowboarding, maybe you snowboard every day, right? And then you build a business around handing out cards to snowboarders because you already have like interest, right? So networking with people that are like interest and somehow incorporating that into your business, whether it's real estate or any business you do, I think is the best way to live life because it makes you feel the best.
And any thoughts on the coronavirus panic?
The coronavirus,
how it could potentially affect
we were talking about this earlier. I mean, yeah, obviously the potential is limitless of where it could go with it. I already have clients commenting on it. I already have this question 50 times, right, of how it's going to affect the market. If I could tell you that, as much as I like real estate, I'd probably be trading stocks and be a billionaire and hanging out with Buffett today. But you know, I don't know. And obviously, you gotta watch out for something like that. It's super sad for the families that have already been affected. So condolences to them. But that being said, hopefully it ends up affecting a very small percentage of the population. So enjoy your life while you have it, right? You got to have fun and you gotta take care of the people that are around you. So maybe stay at home a little bit longer in the meantime and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope it blows over and I hope they find a solution pretty soon here.
Awesome, great stuff. Matt Talbot of the Talbot Team here at RichRealty in Plymouth.